right, thank you everyone for logging in. I'm Shantanu Dasgupta. Please feel free to refer to me as Shan. I lead the communication strategy discipline for ADK in Asia. Today, I take this opportunity to share with you three different Indian English accent renditions in one webinar. But more importantly, today I have the privilege to fill the best seat in the house for a super exciting lineup of presentations on the subject of measuring attribution and ROI in today's scenario. This is undoubtedly one of the most essential conversations marketers and solution architects need to engage over right now. As we all wade through the complexities of digital marketing, it is getting harder to define real success for marketers. So today we will have a chat around one of our most important and intimate companions, our smart devices, and its evolving role in customer experience management, and ultimately its impact on the marketing dollars spent in managing, tracking, and activating these channels. So before we get into the talks and the speakers, just some housekeeping reminders for all the attendees. Uh, Please feel free to drop your questions through the Q&A tab for the speakers as they present, and we will take on these questions towards the end of the segment. And also, there are some exciting digital vouchers to be won. So please stay tuned for details towards the end of the talks. And now, without much further ado, let me introduce you to our first speaker, Manish Gambhir. Manish is the Partnerships and Business Solutions Manager at Meiro. Meiro is a customer data platform that connects all kinds of offline and online data to build 360 customer profiles, and also provides marketing activation for personalization, customer experience, advertising ROI use cases. Manish himself comes from a very rich Martech background and has spent valuable years with programmatic advertising, identity resolution, and data platforms. Manish today will be talking about the subject of transformation of unknown customers into brand loyal ambassadors. And now I hand the floor and the screen over to Manish. Over to you.
Hi everyone, this is Manish from Meiro. Hello from Singapore to everyone who is attending here. And let me share my screen. So perfect. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic here, especially in today's time. We all are customers, and most of us are marketers as well. But we tend to realize we want to realize who of those customers are a brand loyalist, and how can we, even if they're not, how can we turn them into a brand loyalist? For those of you who don't know, Meiro is a customer data platform. We work with all kinds of offline, online data. We try to build this first-party cookie repositories for the brands and organizations. As marketers, you must have been following a lot of privacy changes and third-party cooking going away. So that's where CDP plays a big role, and that is where we usually come in. We are headquartered in Singapore, and I'm myself from Singapore itself. Uh, Before we jump into the details, let's try to understand where are our consumers, right? So our consumers are coming on our website. They're dropping their first party cookies. They are liking our pages on social media. They're probably reading your emails. They're watching your ads on YouTube or any kind of publisher network. They are filling out surveys. They are buying products on physical POS machines. They're a part of loyalty after sales. But what we tend to not figure is how do we activate against all these different data sources. So basically the goal here is to connect all your online and offline data sets and then build the activation channel for your digital marketing efforts. Though as 2020 has been for all of us, the next normal customer is different. So in terms of work, we are working from home. Your consumption is usually via internet. The way we have been shopping is different. We are moved towards a lot more of e-commerce. Our bucket sizes are bigger. We are talking a lot more about health and well-being. So this has totally changed the way we used to buy products and align ourselves with the brands. But we need to realize that there is still a foundation of customer experience, which is a competitive advantage in this new normal, because if we can commit to this customer experience, or we usually call it a digital transformation, we as brand can expect to still emerge from the crisis, even in today's time, and actually build slightly higher, advantage over our competitors. So I would say it's a race, but it's an individual race, but you still need to be there in terms of digital transformation and customer experience. Mm, how do we build that customer experience foundation? So first of all, we need the ambition itself. So right, so if we don't have a goal and an intention, how can we reach there? So let's build the customer centric vision and define the objectives. Establish data foundation. So this is super important. So as a marketer, we have apps, we have website, we're working with Lazadas and Shoppies of the world, we are working with all kinds of POS machines, we have data in our internal systems. But what we tend to not take that path is we are not able to get all that data and use into a marketing approach. So let's get out of the silos and move faster. So that's the foundation for customer experience as well. And we need to build a roadmap that aligns with the changing world. So we used to talk about how quickly the world changes. As 2020 has taught me, like, it changes every other day. So we need to be ready, and we need to have a foundation that can help you scale with time. Secondly, let's enable digital transformation. So how can we do that? Firstly, we need to look at, do we have the right data and technologies? Have we onboarded the correct stack? Because we agree or not, so technology is the game changer here, and we need to have the correct stack here to move forward. Secondly is cross-functional. So I would say, marketers are the backbone of any organization, and we work with all kinds of people from IT, from sales, from innovation, from product. So we need to have the right, communication and the right governance and methodology to work in a cross-functional environment. And most importantly, have the correct measurement system. So this could be your measurement system in terms of campaign performance or internal management system just for your productivity and performance. So we have talked about foundation, we have talked about how we are going to do it, but let's try to transform the business. Let's discover the customer needs. Our data and our models needs to be customer centric. We need to have the right solution design. So, the right system to track and measure. So if I'm spending $1,000 on a campaign, I need to track what the ROI is, I'm getting. And not just that, and am I measuring it the right way? Because there are lots of ways to measure ROI, and we struggle to find the right way to measure. The most importantly is building journeys. So me as a customer, or you as a customer, or marketers, we don't have one touch point. We go to offline, go to physical stores, we go to e-commerce stores, we are watching ads, we are going to websites. But what we need to do is build those journeys where we start connecting these touch points and bring that customer journey into picture. Most importantly, communication. So if I'm a customer who is buying products, but I get usually attributed to Facebook, so my most preferred channel would be Facebook. For you guys, it could be an SMS. So we need to identify the most preferred channel for that customer and target him or her there. Finally, measure and attribute. So track, measure, learn, and test in one unified system. If you have multiple systems to do different things, it becomes harder to build that single view, or bring that decision making. So we need to have one unified system where we can track, we can measure, and learn for the next subsequent strategy or campaign. So what are the prerequisites to a customer experience execution? So it's going to be a bit technical, but please be with me. Let's talk about the data integration, right? So we all know we have the data sets. We are working with a lot of Martech, AdTech, internal customer experience systems, but we do not have the integration layer, because these data sets that are sitting in different systems need to be connected in an effective and a robust manner. So that's why talk to your marketers, talk to your stakeholders, and ask for a robust integration piece. Second would be, have a data strategy. What are you gonna really do about the data? How can you bring the data from your campaigns back into your system again and use it longer? So it's like connecting dots. The third one is identity resolution. This is not a new thing in the any I would say the marketing world, but it has become super important now, and this needs to be done at scale. So I'm going to talk about bit in detail later what the identity resolution looks like. Finally, once the identity resolution or profile stitching is there, we build a single customer view. Then the goal is segmentation engine. So that's the goal we all marketers talk about. How do we segment effectively? How do we create that niche audience or micro segments for our precision advertising, right? We build the segments, we need to again act on those segments. So have the marketing and advertising activation at the right channels itself. And finally closing the loop with attribution, whatever have you spent or shown to your customers or prospects, how can you attribute the right dollars back into the system? So this kind of look a bit detailed. So, but I'm sure a bit of most of you guys would be able to correlate with some of the data sources. This is too much detail, but this is how the usually setup is. If you go and talk to your team member, you'd say, hey, we also use we have website, but we are also using a DSP. We are also using a mobile app. We have an e-commerce partner. We have a loyalty system. We are also using social listening tools. How do we get everything together? So that's the goal, and that is what you need to do, is basically get all these data sources which you have been working for decades, and bring it into a single customer view, right? So once you did it, you can address any kind of complex use cases from precision advertising. You can increase the lifetime value of your customers, and to start with, build the right dashboards where you start making those marketing decisions. And the system should be able to activate against any kind of channel. It could be email, it could be Google, it could be Facebook, it could be Trade Desk, or just e-commerce. So your decision making becomes totally data driven, and this is the ecosystem that everyone, I would say, in order to build that digital transformation or customer experience, this is the journey we all have to go through. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about identity resolution, because this is super important, and we cannot ignore it even now or in future, or this has to be done, right? So there are two ways of identity resolution. So one is the deterministic. When I say deterministic, we start looking at the emails, phone numbers, your kind of ID structures, or for example, in this case for Jane Lim, I'm looking at the card payment ID and different kinds of different identifiers coming from different data sources. I'm building an identity graph. So this needs to be done on scale. This is pretty, I would say, not simple, because it's not just one unique key. We need to look at different data sources and try to understand how can we start connecting. But once this is done, this sets the foundation for your single customer view. Let's talk about the other part of identity resolution, which is a probabilistic in nature. So this is mostly, for example, if you have a mobile phone, right? So you have a Chrome, you have a Safari, you have certain apps, and you might also have a laptop, right? So if we look at all these different devices, the IDs for every browser is different, the app is different, the laptop is totally different. How can we connect these? And let's say I'm not getting logged into any of the websites. Can I say it's the same Manish who opened the website, on day one on, let's say his mobile, he downloaded the app on day two, and probably he made the transaction via his laptop, because as a customer, I'm still skeptical about, oh, I'm not going to make the transaction on mobile. I'm scared. I will still open my laptop. So how do we connect this? So this is still doable. So basically, we look at certain digital IDs. These are usually cookies or device IDs. We also look at IP address. We look at what kind of user agent operating system is coming in. There's kind of I would say an algorithm that looks at the timestamp, what time of the day, time to looking at the pattern. And then there is a way to build an identity resolution based on probabilistic signals coming from your devices. So if you ask me a question, which one is more important, I would say both, because the scale is important when we are talking about identity resolution. So this is where we're gonna end after doing the identity resolution. So basically, hey, this is Jane Doe. What do we know about Jane Doe, right? So so much how much money Jane Doe is spending on a particular product. What is the kind of affinity? And once you have all these insights and attributes against Jane Doe, you can start making smart decisions. hey, if I have a new, product I'm launching, hey, Jane Doe might align to this because based on her past experience, this is so much about we know about her. Let's target her on Facebook because that's where she's, most interacting with us. So these are the smart decisions that comes when you have the single view of customers. So this is everyone's important goal, a potential high value customer. So we all know these are the brand loyalists and these are going to buy our products no matter how, but we can't afford to lose them, right? So we need to identify this, high value customers, and that doesn't just come because they spend a lot with us, right? That's the transaction piece, right? But there's another piece, which is the behavior piece, right? How often they're coming to our operated channels on our website, what kind of content are they reading, are they would be the right audience if we push this product into the market. So identifying your high value customers, and that's where the retention strategy needs to come in. But again, the foundation is connecting the dots. Ad performance optimization. So this is everyone's favorite topic, I would say, because we are all marketers. We spend money on Google and Facebook, but what we sometimes struggle to do is basically putting in the right campaign with the right message, with the right content based on customers' transaction, browsing, total spend. And this is somewhere you can be effective a lot, because let's say if I bought a product on, came to your website, I added to cart and I dropped off, right? But if you know that that's the exact product that I kind of liked, and you know me for, let's say, 6 months based on my history that you're keeping as a customer, you can actually retarget me with the exact message and with the exact campaign. So your ROI or the conversion rate is much higher, and you're not wasting money on just running big campaigns anywhere. Product recommendations. So again, so if your data is correct, if your foundation on single customer view is done, you can actually come up with the new product recommendations, because you understand the customer very deeply, not just again from the transaction point of view, but behavior, location, other attributes in terms of affinity and what kind of things a customer likes. So basically then you come up with a new product and you target that niche audience with a new product. So the product recommendation gives you the, I would say, the lever to innovate, because all brands realize, the world is moving fast and they need to come with a new product that is kind of part of their innovation strategy. Global exclusion, a lot of people don't talk about it. I had a very interesting case study in my, I would say in 2018. So basically this was a bank and they had a good penetration in that country. So it was kind of the largest, consumer bank there. And their goal was simple, right? So let me explain the goal. So they wanted to run a campaign and just ask people to, the goal was to basically get new people to open a bank account with us. What they realized was basically the campaigns that they're running is mostly targeting their existing customers. And once we did that case study, we realized their media wastage in that terms was 65%. So 65% of the impressions that they were throwing in the market was actually going to their existing customer. So again, exclude the people who won't buy or are not the right audience. Save your money on the marketing budget, and that really brings the ROI back into the picture. Segmentation engine. So I'm not WHO, but they say test, test, test. So my goal is to segment, and segment. So segment as much as you can, get the niche micro segments, know your loyalists, know your customers from every data source, and segment that niche audiences to build those smart campaigns. So if you, that would definitely, first of all, your audience is small. Second of all, they're gonna bring ROI because that's the right message and building the right customer experience through that advertising or marketing channel. So segment, and segment. And that only can happen once you have the right data and the right segmentation engine running. Once we segment, right, then the question comes up, hey, where do I target this customer? I'm a bit confused. So have one system where you can reach out, use that segment to actually target people on multiple channels. So basically that's the omni-channel strategy that comes into play. So for example, if an airline throws me an ad saying, hey, fly Singapore to Bangkok at $250, the same airline is sending me an email, fly Singapore to Bangkok at $300, because they don't know me. This Manish on the email is the same money which I targeted on, let's say, straighttimes.com. The customer experience is bad because I'm saying, hey, why are you doing this? You're giving $250 somewhere, $300 somewhere. Hey, I don't trust you. I'm not buying this ticket. So omni-channel, same message across different systems, and that's the core of building the right messaging as well. Let's close the loop. We have done all the hard work around segmentation, build the single customer view, did identity resolution. How do we start closing the loop? Let's try to calculate what dollars we spend really work for us. So have an attribution system in place, and if possible, use your attribution insights into your next subsequent campaign, or add these insights into the customer profile. So for example, Manish, you know, was shown the ad 5 times. On the 6th time, he went to Facebook, clicked, and basically bought the product. So you need to understand what's Manish's journey outside your ecosystem is, and bring those insights back into the customer profile. Give me a score that he's a Facebook, converting person. He needs at least 5 times of, exposure of the ad. Build that insight, build that attribute, add to my system, and let's close the loop. So yeah, we have talked about how we're gonna execute and build ROI, but I want to talk more about how does customer experience builds the customer loyalty, right? So if we start looking at this, diagram, right? So there is always an initial consideration set. Okay, thought comes in, hey, I need to buy this product because I need it or because I like it. And the brands tend to enter and exit the consideration set at any point of purchase, because as a consumer, I have so many options. I would probably be doing a lot of research and moving between brands. But between the moment of purchase, there is one thing which is called the trigger. And that trigger can only come if you know the customer well, or you know his past behavior, or you know what exactly triggered him to make that purchase. So initial consideration set, we all tend to forget. What we end up doing is that we also did in my past experiences. Hey, someone added to cart, he dropped off. Let's retarget. No, we need to understand what made him lead to the cart, right? So start looking at customers not just in the lower funnel but in the upper funnel as well, and try. And that can only happen if you know him really well in the upper funnel itself, and that moment of purchase and the trigger are pretty much close. So that's the goal. What are the loyal customer considering? First of all, there are so many explosions. Like I would call it like mobile apps are growing so big. There's an explosion. There is social media. You exactly know what your friends are buying, and they are giving reviews. They say, hey, don't buy this, don't buy that. So as a consumer, it's not my mistake. I will shop around. I'll do a lot more research. I'll skip between brands. But again, if you know their customers well, you can still retain them by building that right customer experience. Finally, the key takeaways there. Let's start a bit back here. So resegment the consumers you don't target. So again, not just the people who have added to cart or just very close to the purchase. You need to start building the experience right from the start itself. Or probably you don't know that customer hasn't come to our website for 6 months, but if you have know something about it, and if you can maintain a persistent record of that customer, you can still reach out and convert that non-existing or a prospect into a loyal customer. Let's rebalance our marketing budgets, giving more weight to what counts the most, and that again comes segment on spend, segment on timing, segment on the demographics, the lifestyle, the life cycle of the customers, and again coming back to the same point, initial consideration. So that's where the picture that needs to be built for the customer right away. Okay, so guys, I would want you to like focus here a bit, because I recently bought a watch. So I'm thinking as a consumer right now, and I really wanted to share my story, what happened, and did I really like the customer experience. I leave it to you. I'll ask you a few questions in the end to take away and think as a customer as a marketer both. So I wanted to buy a watch. I have bought this brand before over the last decade, because you don't buy watch every year. Like I keep it for a couple of years or more than that. So what I did was, on day one, I Google search, right? Hey, the brand name, I knew the brand name, and I want the chronograph watch. I found links to Google Shopping, e-commerce, saw the prices right there on the Google, didn't do anything. I was like, okay, let's hold on. On day two, I thought, hey, let's go to Lazada and Shopee, see what they have. So I was going through there, and trust me, there were so many recommendations coming for the same model. I got confused. I'm like, oh, I'm dropping off. This is like, I'm not a good decision maker, especially on making a purchase. Let me drop off. On day three, as usual, that happens to all of us. I got heavily retargeted by on Facebook by Lazada shopping showing me similar models, but I didn't really go back on e-commerce again because again too many recommendation and I didn't really like the e-commerce experience. So I was like, okay, let's hold again. On day five, interestingly, what happened was the brand's competitors started targeting me. So I know which brand to buy, I know which watch to buy, but suddenly I started seeing ads by competitors on Insta, Google, and even send me email, right? I was like, where is the email coming from? On day seven, I was like, okay, Manish, you really need to buy this watch. I decided, let's keep the e-commerce out. Let's go to the brand's direct website. I added to cart, but then I realized it's kind of expensive as compared to e-commerce. So again, my customer experience was like, no, this is too expensive. On day eight, I really need a watch. I was walking in a mall, saw the brand shop, tried it on my hand, immediately buy, submitted my email, phone number for warranty. So I will give you a couple of more seconds to just focus on the screen and try to build a picture in your mind based on which you'll start seeing a pop-up question. And I would really want you to answer that. Okay, so a few more seconds. Let's really put in. So this is an exercise. You can think yourself as a customer, you buy products as well. So let's think, what does it? So I'm not a fickle customer. I knew what to buy, but still, was it a good experience? Will I buy it next time? What are your thoughts as a marketer if you were owning that brand? Okay, great. Let's go. Okay. Oh, yes, definitely. Okay. So you think I like the customer experience? Okay. Very honest answers. Thank you so much. Let's get the next question in. Okay. Okay. Is Manish a loyal customer? So this is a good question, right? Few more seconds to go. All right, guys, please do it. Okay, great. Let's see if people call me. Okay, there's a conflict here. Oh, come on. Am I a loyal customer? Okay, I have to think on that. But good to know. Good to know how you guys are thinking. So thank you so much. So I'll just leave some questions before I end my session. It was great talking to you, everyone. So these are some of the questions which I thought, right? So why didn't I buy the watch? Even though there were too many options on Lazada, why I didn't buy on Lazada? Because the price was slightly lower, there was slightly a good discount on Lazada. Why didn't I do that? Second very important question, if you are the brand owner, if you are the watch brand owner, how come your competitors are able to target me? How do they know so much detail that I need the exactly brand? So you need to know how is this data being shared. So that's the mindset we need to get in. How is the data being shared with my competitors? Third question, why didn't the brand target me directly? I never got a single ad or a message from the brand directly, because I did show consideration, I did show intent to purchase, I went to the add to cart option, but I never got a message or even a single ad from the brand directly. The fourth question is, how come I started receiving emails from competitors? I never shared my emails with them, or did I? I don't remember, but how is this data sharing happening? So let's take this question back and think. And finally, I did submit my phone number and email, while I was signing up for the warranty. I did not even get a thank you message, or they did not even offer me a loyalty program because they're not maintaining that data. So these are some of the questions. It's a very simple customer journey, but I think this is very important for you guys as the marketers to think, if the journey is so simple, how can we still make it better? And here I would like to end my session. Thank you everyone for your time, and I'll pass this to Ajit. Ajit.
All right. Before that, maybe I'll just take a couple of minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Manish. for this extremely insightful presentation. I think, if not anything, I'm now very excited to buy my next watch. Uh, and I also would like to just request all the participants just maybe take a couple of seconds right now, because I know this was a very immersive and intensive session. So please take your time. I think if you want to pose some questions to Manish, just drop them into the Q&A section. We will revisit them towards the end of the segment. With that, I want to kind of move on to the next speaker, Ajit Pawar. So Ajit here, he manages partnerships for Adjust. Adjust is the industry leader in mobile measurement, marketing automation, and fraud prevention. Ajit will be sharing strategies and best practices on how marketers can measure user journey and behavior on mobile and leverage data to drive higher ROI. Over to you, Ajit.
Hey, thanks, Shantanu, for the introduction, and Manish, thanks for the insightful session as well. So, in this segment, what I'm going to cover is, as you're aware, ours is especially in our region, it's a mobile-first economy, and most of the consumers out here in our region have actually skipped the laptop or the digital online kind of the world and moved directly to the mobile itself. And more and more businesses are actually engaging their customers via mobile, so it becomes much more important to understand how the user journey works, the end-to-end user journey, as well as user behavior, and leverage this data to basically drive higher ROI for your businesses. So, as you're aware, and given that due to the recent pandemic, more and more businesses are moving to mobile. So, pre-pandemic era, yes, there were some brands or businesses that did have physical presences, but even those verticals, especially banking, kind of a retail sector, have all moved on to mobile. And this kind of user behavior is going to continue basically going on mobile itself. On an average, we have seen average user or consumer is spending almost 4 hours on their mobile device every day, and almost 90% of these users are spending their time on specifically on the app itself. And if you see the app economy itself, mobile apps are actually driving almost 600 plus billion revenue this year, and it's going to continue to grow going forward as well. And out of that, we have seen the Gen Z, which is the most significant segment of the consumers, which actually have not only high spending power, but they also spend almost 2/3 of their media time on the mobile phones, are actually driving all of this revenue. So, for example, this Gen Z specifically for United States itself has almost more than 150 billion kind of revenue driving powers out here. As you can see, the mobile, in terms of number of apps, we have seen more than 7 million apps globally available till date. And more and more apps are actually, you can see the App Store actually increasing on a daily basis, more and more newer apps. It could be in newer verticals like fitness. Almost everyone is going on a fitness app, even a tech vertical. Now the schools and colleges, most of the courses are going online as well. So the number of apps increasing quite significantly. And what we have noticed is more than 90 to 95% of this 7 million apps are free. So the question remains, how are these apps making money? How are they basically sustaining their businesses? And there are, of course, different models on how this app actually gained revenue. Some of them actually offer premium services for add-on services. Some of them actually rely on subscription as well. For example, OTT streaming, it could be a music streaming app. And most of them also rely on in-app purchases. So it could be a e-commerce, it could be even a gaming kind of a vertical. Many of them also rely on upgrades. There is a significant portion of mobile apps which rely monetization through ad revenue as well. So you see an ad, you enjoy the free app, but at the same time, the way they earn their revenue is through showing you different ads. It could be from different brands or different services as well. So these are some of the ways most of this 95% of the app in today's app store are making money. And that's why it becomes much more important to basically understand, measure, and basically track the user data that will help you to optimize your campaigns or your marketing efforts towards generating more revenue or higher ROI. So these are some of the tips which most of the marketers in general actually leverage. So first is definitely to understand who are your user base, who are your target consumers, and understand how they behave usually whenever they install an app. What is the user behavior after they install the app? Do they have any specific preferences, or do they spend a lot of time on specific features or products or services? So it's always important to understand your user behavior. At the same time, it's also important to basically spread your net wide. So yes, more and more marketers rely heavily on acquiring new users, and at the same time they have goals to have those quality users actually installing your app also. So it's very important to maintain the balance between the quantity and quality, so that you can increase your ROI and also user stickiness within your app. At the same time, you need to basically double down on what's currently working. So for example, a mobile user is actually a loyal customer and they are spending a significant amount of time within your app. It's always important to basically reinvest your marketing efforts, as well as in the marketing channels that will drive higher engagement with your existing user base. But even before implementing this kind of strategy, the most important thing is how to measure it, how to measure your user behavior, how to measure your user journey. What are the most important metrics that you can track or help you understand the user behavior or user persona as such? So just to give you an example on how complex the mobile user life cycle is. So it might seem very much simple upfront, but once you see or dig deeper down, you can see that users might be coming or installing your app through multiple marketing channels. At the same time, once they install the app, they engage with different features and products and services within your app, and some of them or a small portion of them might lead to conversion based on the user experience they have, or based on the user needs as well also. At the same time, we have seen a significant number of users actually uninstalling or deleting your app. In fact, our data shows that on an average, by the sixth or seventh day, almost more than 50 to 60% of user usually uninstall or delete the app. So there is a very small portion of users which actually continue to be your loyal customers or continue to use your app beyond 7 days. So it's important to understand those kind of user behavior, and also continue marketing activities, remarketing activities that will lead to long-term customer loyalty as well. At the same time, today's mobile app marketer actually on an average uses more than 20 campaigns and more than 14 different marketing channels to acquire new users. So it could be through paid marketing activities, it could be Google, Facebook campaigns, it could be through different ad networks, it could be their own in-house marketing campaigns like email, SMS, QR codes. So there are multiple ways or channels to acquire new users. So it becomes much more complex for marketers to have a single source of data, and it also it's very important for them to make sense of the data they receive. So it's important for them to identify which are their performing marketing channel. At the same time, as I mentioned, after they install the app, what is the user doing within the app? So to have a single source of truth is definitely much more challenging than it seems, given that there are so many marketing channels for marketers to drive the user acquisition. So the recommendation from our end is always to make sure that each and every meaningful interaction of your users should be measured or tracked. So in terms of, for example, basic start could be, okay, just to track, okay, your installs, where the installs are coming from, which are the ad channels or measurement channels, marketing channels that are driving those installs. But definitely that's not going to give you much more insights on what to do next once you acquire that user. So some of the marketeers go beyond that and also try to track their most important KPIs. So in this case, for example, e-commerce app, they want to understand how many people, users who installed the app continued for registration, how many of them led to purchase. So those are the most important KPIs which are more tagged to the revenue aspect of it. But according to Adjust, it's still not enough, because there are much more data touch points, as Manish also mentioned in his previous session, that there are multiple touch points which could be quite significant for you to do a holistic analysis of your user behavior. So what we think is you should be able to ask answers to this specific questions. So the first question could be, okay, what do my users do within my app? So once they install the app, are they actually focusing a lot of time in specific features or services, or what are they doing? Why are they coming to my app? Is it to make a purchase, or is it just to enjoy the services out there? And also, which of my users are spending? At the end of the day, the business goal is to drive higher revenue. So it's also good to identify who are the users who are basically driving higher revenue, and what are the conversion channels or the touch points that drive them to basically make that spend or make that particular purchase. And once you are able to identify those high quality users or high revenue generating users, how can I keep them engaged and bring them back to your app and continue that revenue generation activity? At the same time, you'll also notice that a lot of users might go dormant, inactive, and some of them might delete or uninstall your app also. So it's also very important to identify those users and find new methods to basically re-engage and make them return to the app. So based on different verticals, the KPI metrics could definitely differ. For example, for gaming app, some of the tutorial complete, even coin purchases, maybe some of the in-app purchases could be important. Also refer a friend, invite a friend to download the gaming app could be significant. For e-commerce, definitely registration, searching for products, or add to basket, add to cart, and definitely making the final purchase or payment submission as well. In travel, it could be not only just making the booking, but also to identify which the users, if they are searching for a particular destination or a particular hotel. Those kind of events could be significant for a travel vertical to track as well. At the same time, in terms of KPIs, as I mentioned previously, there are some more important metrics, but it's also important to track each and every user interaction from day one itself. Because given in today's scenario, there are tools available. There's no constraint in terms of data storage as such. So there's no harm in actually capturing more and more touch points. And you might find that you might have those data useful for some kind of insights in the future as well. So apart from tracking your most important KPIs, it's always good to track each and every interaction during the conversion funnel. At the same time, going beyond just the default in-app events like sessions, installs, or pure purchases, you can also have your own custom events at each and every user touch points that will give you a much more comprehensive view of your user journey. At the same time, it's also important to identify some of the non-monetary interactions. For example, a registration might not bring you any revenue, but it might definitely express a user intent to basically register, complete the registration. Add to cart might not actually lead to definitely 100% guaranteed conversion, but add to cart might reveal much more detailed insights in terms of what is the basket size, what kind of products usually most of the users are basically putting in their basket. And if they're dropping off the funnel, it will also help you to identify maybe you need some feature enhancements or the reason behind users actually dropping off those kind of funnel. And at the same time, leverage this data further to retarget those users so they can make the purchase complete as well. So having all of these touch points being measured and tracked, it's also important to act on the captured data going forward. At the same time, more and more marketeers spend high marketing dollars on acquiring new users, but it's also important to understand that the healthy app ecosystem consists of both new and returning users. So, as I mentioned previously, the user life cycle includes users who might be your users who are loyal, continue to use the app, but there are also users who delete, uninstall, or go dormant within that. So it's always important to make sure you are able to retarget those users. From the data which we have gathered working with several customers across the globe, we have noticed that the remarketing campaigns or retargeting campaigns are actually driving almost more than 150% higher engagement rates. So it's much more effective or easier to retarget an existing user rather than spend that dollar on acquiring a new user. So it's always important to make sure if the user has already installed your app, implies they have expressed a clear intent of being interested within your app. So retargeting campaigns, what we have seen is also are driving almost 37% more revenue compared to a brand new user acquired through a UA campaign. Even for the remarketing or retargeting, what we have seen is the users who are retargeted consistently have a higher percentage of chance of higher retention rate as well. So once you have these touch points measured, tracked, all of your events identified, it's also important to leverage this data to personalize your message also. So once you have this kind of user behavior, you want to understand how you can basically re-engage or retarget those users. So these are some of the best practices the marketers usually use. It's important to basically create audience segmentations to basically use this for precise retargeting purposes. There's no point retargeting users who might not be valuable to you. So as I gave you an example, if the users are dropping off the funnel after the add to cart and not making the payment, it's better to, for your own efforts, time, as well as cost, to target those users who have dropped off the funnel and use those audiences to basically run ad campaigns that might be only targeting those products. There are also marketeers who run a lot of A/B tests to see how their messaging works. It's very effective strategy. And of course, leverage deep links for creating a better user experience on mobile environment. So for audience segmentation, it's always good to have a tool that helps you to create dynamic audiences. And these segments you can use for specific personalized messaging or laser focused messaging in terms of, just to give you an example, if I know that this user didn't complete the purchase, if he has brought in Nike shoes, I might as well use this information to retarget that user with a promotion campaign for the same Nike shoes. It's much more effective way to convert those kind of users who might have dropped off the funnel. At the same time, A/B testing of not only your messaging, but your time and delivery is also important. So different users might have different ways to basically interact or convert within the app. So what we have noticed is a lot of users, maybe during the afternoon time, lunchtime, they browse a lot of things, or even for shopping category, they make most of their purchases either during travel or during lunchtime. So those kind of A/B testing of not only your message, but also the timing is definitely important as well. In terms of deep linking, we have also seen it creates a very good user experience. It not only shortens the conversion funnel, but it improves a higher conversion rate as well. So for example, if you're running a promotion campaign and as I mentioned, if you are running a Nike shoes promotion, and if that user sees that particular ad, instead of taking them to the home page, if you can drive that user directly to the cart, including the Nike shoes in that cart, it might not only reduce the time spent for the user again to search for the same shoes which he was intending to buy earlier. It will also increase the chances of your conversion as well. Also, there might be deep linking campaigns which you might run for users who may have never installed your app in the past. In that case as well, deep linking campaigns definitely helps you to bring that user directly to the promotion page after they install the app. So this kind of improving the user experience definitely helps driving your users. So in summary, it's always good to have tools in place or solutions in place like Adjust, which not only provides you measurement analytics, but it also basically protects and automates your marketing efforts. At the same time, you can also leverage complementary solutions from partners like Meiro, which helps you to stitch your customer journey across different touch points as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to Shantanu for our panel discussion.
Hi, Ajit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that really detailed and very, very interesting presentation. So as promised, and maybe I can also invite Manish back. Maybe if you could switch back your screen. All right. So as promised, we're going to now jump into some of the questions that have been popping in for both Manish and Ajit. So let me actually start off with a question for Manish. This has actually come in from Diane, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think she wants to understand Meiro's compatibility to the existing analytics tools like, say, for example, GA or Adobe. And how is the compatibility in terms of Meiro's ecosystem to them? So Manish, do you want to answer that?
Okay, so basically, if I look at what is Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics doing is basically they're tracking events on your website, right? So it's only for your own and operated website for what's the user doing. So for Meiro as a customer data platform, that's one of the data sources, right? But that's how we work. So we are independent of where we can connect the data. So if I'm, let's say, working with a brand and then they're working with Google Analytics, I won't say, hey, don't use Google Analytics. Hey, you can stream the data that you have collected in Google Analytics as one of the data source into the CDP. And then I can connect what people are doing on the website into what people are actually doing on the retail store versus what they are actually doing while visiting your visiting your advertisement or basically talking to your customer care. But as of now, Google Analytics or an Adobe Analytics or any other analytics tools cannot transform what happened on the website to what happened physical, what happened with your customer care, what happened with the purchase. So I think the goal here is to understand is Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics are independent tools, and we as a CDP are totally compatible. We already have a client where what we do is basically we stream data from Google Analytics, and we can also do with Adobe and actually add it to the other insights or systems that Google is not being able to do as of now. Yeah.
Right.
I hope
Thanks,
that
Manish.
answered the question. Yeah.
I hope that answers Diane's question. Maybe now moving over to Ajit. One of the questions that popped up in the Q&A panel here is, I think someone wanted to actually understand first and foremost the percentage of mobile usage across Asia Pacific, if there is any particular statistics you want to cite. And I think the other question, which is I think a follow-up to the same one, is are you seeing an increase in the depth of usage of mobile or smart devices because of the pandemic?
Yeah. Thanks. Yes, definitely. Because of the pandemic, the new normal, the user behavior has changed completely. Not only the user behavior, as I mentioned, even the businesses are moving on to mobile. So the banks which were heavily reliant on the traditional banks, heavily reliant on actual bank transactions, are actually moving on to mobile as well. So yes, in terms of mobile usage in Asia Pacific, the markets like Indonesia, as I mentioned, Southeast Asia in general is a mobile first economy. Even the remotest or the rural parts, the users in rural parts are actually, the mobile is the only way to access internet. So we have seen almost 80% of user base in our region actually leveraging all of this mobile apps through their through a mobile internet as such. And due to COVID, we also have seen a sudden surge in specific verticals like gaming. Gaming definitely is booming. At the same time, e-commerce is not doing bad as well. Yes, during the lockdown period, there were some difficulties, but post that, we have seen even the essential, non-essential services or goods are basically delivered by these e-commerce players. We have also seen a significant increase in the edtech vertical. Edtech vertical, fintech vertical, most of the courses, online classes are already moving on to mobile. So, and this user behavior is continuing. It will still continue even after things get back to normal, because once the users, for example, of course, the young or the millennials are already used to mobile, but in the past, most of the old users who had high spending powers might have relied on non-mobile kind of transactions. But now that they have already been used to the user experience of mobile, they are going to continue to stick to doing things on mobile.
Interesting. Yeah, I am sure that that addresses the question that was posed for Ajit. It's also interesting, Ajit, you talked about e-commerce, because that kind of segues into the question I wanted to pose both Manish and yourself. I guess one of the big data-led disruptions that have happened in the retail space over the last few years is how brands are expanding or even transforming one of their core retail channels into D2C. How do you see Meiro and its set of tools that you have and Adjust uh, cater to this new vertical that is in demand for a lot of marketers out there?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and I'm loving this topic. So we all know, like if I need to buy a chocolate or a Coke to drink, I'll go to 7-Eleven or a grocery store, or probably buy a nice pack from Lazada, which gives me a good discount. What if these brands think, hey, I want to build my own website and get people directly to in. The one thing they need to understand first is before they start their D2C operations is what has happened in the past. What were the users that were buying their product either on the grocery stores or on Lazadas or Shoppees of the world, and consolidate that data. So once you consolidate the data coming from your offline versus e-commerce together, you understand the behaviors of the customer. You understand the purchase, behaviors as well, patterns as well. You understand the locations as well. Where is the people, people are, right? So now, if you have, let's start with these three kinds of insight and you're starting your own website, you can start using the behaviors and build your website or experience and recommend that returning customers who was earlier buying from Lazada, what can I give him better on my website? And what could be that experience? And if you have the data, you can do it. Coming to the other part, which is the transaction, right? If my product is sold at $10 on Lazada and the actual price that I'm selling MRP is $12, why will the customer buy from you? So price is the major goal here. You need to give them some discount or a loyalty that they keep buying from your direct channel and not go to Lazada, right? So that's one behavior, and the pricing. Third is the location. How so I think people think D2C it can be done if you build a nice website, nice offers, but we need to also understand there is a supply chain, right? Because it's a, I would say, door to door delivery, right? You need to actually deliver the product to the customer at their home and understand their location. And to build that process, you need to have the right data to identify how quickly can I deliver. If Lazada was delivering my product in 5 days, can the brand think of doing it in 4 days? And if yes, how? So this how, when, and how to do it needs to come from the data. And I think a CDP is the right platform to start making those analytics and marketing decisions, because you can start collecting those data from your grocery stores or your POS machines and also from Lazadas of the world, and bring it together and start building your D2C strategy. And that's where it would really help. So start with the data and then use the right recommendations and executions. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Manish. And I'm also very aware of the time, because I guess we can keep this conversation going for as long as we can. But I mean, I guess we have to stick to a certain time here. So maybe the last question here, both for Ajit and Manish. I mean, we heard a lot of interesting things about Meiro and Adjust and all the interesting tools and technologies that you have at your disposal. How do you see yourself coming together?
Yeah, so maybe I can take that one. So what Adjust actually does is the missing puzzle is the mobile. As I mentioned, it's a mobile first economy. You'll have a significant portion of your user base on mobile, irrespective of what kind of app or vertical you are. Uh, so it's very important to have that kind of first touch point data available, which is the first party data. And more businesses are also driving revenue from their mobile users as well. So this kind of data is significant, and if you have a partner like Meiro, which actually helps you to stitch the customer data, which might be sitting in different silos, it's definitely a complementary service. So just to give you an example, we have banking customers who actually want to drive users to basically for loan application purposes, and they are able to identify using Adjust solutions on users who might have dropped off that loan application process. This kind of audiences they can use for remarketing, but adding that additional data set of the credit score. So instead of retargeting all of the users who might have dropped off the funnel for the loan application process, they have a credit score which might be sitting somewhere in a silo in their CRM system. So tying this data, that just mobile data, the mobile user data of users who have dropped off with the credit score data can help marketeers target users who have higher credit scores and have higher probability to basically have their loan application process approved. So this not only reduces time, but also cost in terms of your marketing dollars.
Right. Right. Thanks, Ajit, for that explanation. So, with that, we conclude our conversation for today. As promised in the beginning, we talked about these exciting digital vouchers we are planning to hand out to 5 lucky participants and attendees of the webinar today. So, I would request everyone who's there still around in the participants, please scan the QR code, or what you could do is you can just answer a pop-up Q&A that's going to come to you in your email inbox after this webinar, and you'll stand a chance to win the digital vouchers worth $25 each. So with that, I would also like to thank Ajit, Manish, the team at Meiro and Adjust who brought this entire event together. And thank you to all the participants for being a great audience and asking some fantastic questions. So yeah, with that, we sign off. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.